Hey gang, so I wanted to go over your journal entries for the Roger Brown piece. Uh, what words are referencing categories, and it's interesting because it had you look really closely at two paragraphs to do some really close reading, and that probably means you need to read those paragraphs like a few times, okay? And so I'm going to go over that a little bit. I'm also going to share a couple of student responses with you, which I forgot to pull up. So I'm going to stop this till I get those. Okay, so let's just jump right into number one. And it basically wants you I'm going to read the instructions again. Reconsider Brown's 14th paragraph. This is at the bottom of 67. Get that if you're not there already. Page 67 at the bottom. I'm reading the instructions. Reconsider Brown's 14th paragraph and discuss the notion of identity category. Define this term in your own words and illustrate your definition with examples. So let's go to that. Let's read 14. Okay. Everybody with me? This is down at the bottom of page 66. Okay, here we go. Actually, we do not badly stretch the notion of the category if we treat even a singular particular book as a category. So a single book can be a category, is what it's saying. The single book, the single anything, is a category of sense impressions. So what are sense impressions? Those are things that we can watch what I'm doing, by the way. As I'm reading, I'm modeling how to read carefully, okay? And I'm slowing down what I'm doing. That's right, I need to look there. And I'm slowing down what I'm doing to sort of unpack my thoughts for you. I'm modeling sort of what, as an active reader, I do when I'm reading something difficult like this, and that's that I'm pausing and questioning and I'm thinking about what it's saying. So, and also because I've read a lot, I'm probably a lot older than most of you folks, maybe not all of you, and so I've read a lot, So I do come that, so that's why I'm helping you out with this. All right. So sense impressions, those are the five senses. Right, so if we're talking about a book, it means what? I see the book. Sometimes you can smell a book. I guess you could hear a book, right? I guess you could eat a book. Kids do, right? What else is there? And you can feel the book, right? It feels like something. So those are the ways that we know that there's a book here, because through our five senses, right? And so Victor, our wild child, must have seen the book that was used in the early training on many occasions, various positions, and from different angles. At one time, a book is a rectangular shape lying on a table. At another time, the same book is only the back of a binding on the literary shelf. While it is possible to say that these various experiences constitute a category, that category must be distinguished from the sort named by book in general. Okay, let's pause. So first of all, one of the things that sort of philosophical writing often does is it goes back to really fundamental things. So it probably wouldn't occur to you normally to think that anybody would not know that this is the same book, that this is the same as this, is the same as this, is the same as that, okay? But if you think about it, those are each different sensory experiences of the book, and it's possible, one can imagine, that somebody, I don't know, a Martian or somebody, might not understand that those different things are all the same thing, because they're each gives us a different sensory, or if I eat it, that's gonna be another experience of it. So all these different ways that I can experience the book. But we automatically, in our minds, through experience and so forth, we understand all those different versions of the book to be the same book, okay? And so that's what he means by identity category. So same thing, like we would recognize that this is the same as, watch this, it's magic, this, even though now now we have the cap on top. Now we don't. Of course, you don't know if I didn't really switch pins, right? But you get the point. Or that this is the same as this. or that this is the same as this. Okay? So that's the idea that this is this pen, no matter what shape, no matter where it is, no matter what I do. And this can get a little tricky. I've thought about this before, like I'm a bicycle rider. And I over time, I've had, I have a mountain bike that uh, over time, I changed the chain on it. I have put new cogs on it. I put new handlebars on it. And then finally, the frame broke. And I took it in, and because it had a lifetime warranty, they sent it back to me with a new frame. So that bicycle, here's an interesting question. Is that bicycle that I'm riding the same bicycle that I bought? At what point have I changed out so many parts that you could call it a different bicycle? And I guess even with this book, see, it's falling apart. At what point does it fall apart so much that it's not the same book it started out as? Or another way this gets complicated, he didn't really touch on this, but let's take a person, okay? Am I the same person now that I was when I was 6 months old, when I was 5 years old, when I was 10 years old, when I was 21 years old? People say I am, and I'm told that I am. I think I am, but in a way, how do we know that? How am I the same as that baby? That 6 month old baby that couldn't talk, that cried, that was this big, that was that wide, that didn't have gray hair. I did have hair here, but so you see what I mean? So that's an identity category, and so that's what they're getting at there. Let's finish. So now I'm page 67 again. How am I doing on time? I always take too long, don't I? Okay, let's get moving. So while it is possible to say that these various experiences constitute a category, that category must be distinguished from the sort named by book in general. Right, so it's one thing to say that this is a category of all the forms that this book can be in. It's another thing to say that book in general, that's a category that includes, a whole bunch of other books. Okay, and so one thing that Victor the Wild Child had to figure out is that this is a book, and that this is a book, even though this has a hard cover and this has a soft cover, even though this is blue and that's, I don't know what color that is or whatever, even though this is big and this is little, that they're all the same thing. And sometimes that's hard, I often wonder how dogs know that other dogs are dogs, or how we know that other dogs are dogs. I mean, that's kind of weird, isn't it? Because, you got a little, Chihuahua, and then you've got a St. Bernard, and they don't even look alike, and yet we all recognize they're dogs. So somehow in our minds, we've managed to find the features of dogness, and we recognize that in every dog we see, even though the dogs look wildly different. But we call them all dogs. Would Victor be able to do that? I don't know. And sometimes we don't do this, right? Like, do we, there's, is a coyote a dog? Is a wolf a dog, Or, like things like that. Or, donkeys and horses, do we call them the same thing? And actually that gets into all kinds of things, biology and whatnot, right? So that's the idea there. I want to read a good one on that one. Identity, this is one of yours. Identity category is basically a category within a category. When Brown says that a book can take on multiple appearances from different perspectives, we see different views of the book and not a different book. Okay? So if we call the main referent, the main book, a category, then a separate viewpoint of that same book is to be called an identity category. Now, I don't think that's quite it. Book is a category, book without the book, and that would be all the books. But this book is a category in itself, or a subcategory of all the various ways we might see this book. Why Brown wants you to know that, I'm not sure yet. Maybe we'll figure it out as we keep going. But that's fun anyway, just to kind of get these ideas. The next idea we're coming up with, I think, is important. Well, they're both important. For instance, if you were to look into a mirror straight on, you would see your whole body, yes? Then if you move over all the way to the right to where you could not see yourself straight on, would that make it not a mirror? No, because you can still see yourself, but just from a different perspective in which it looks different to you. Fantastic. So see what this writer did, one of your classmates, is he provided a specific example of the concept, and that's what it asks you to do. It says, define this term in your own words and illustrate your definition with examples. If you haven't illustrated your definition with examples, then you haven't really fulfilled the assignment, and you know that could cost you a point or something. And but next time, do using examples that you make up is really important, and we want to get a lot of practice doing that. Okay, let's look at the next one.